1 Samuel chapter 11, we're going to see now Saul's first battle, his first real test here. In verse 1, then Nahash the Ammonite came up and encamped against Jabesh-Gilead. And the men of Jabesh said to Nahash, make a covenant with us, and we will serve you. Now, Jabesh-Gilead was a city on the eastern side of the Jordan. The Ammonites here, they're going to encamp against it. What's interesting here, 400 years ago in the book of Judges, Jephthah had conquered the Ammonites. But now there seems to be a grudge here. In conquering the Ammonites, they had taken their territory. Now it looks like the Ammonites want their territory back. They're coming back in vengeance here. And they had this leader, his name is Nahash. His name means serpent. And he picks a fight now with the men of Jabesh-Gilead. Think about a bully on the playground, kind of like pushing you around here. This is what's happening. Nahash, he comes, he encamps around Jabesh-Gilead. He's kind of bullying them here. And he wants to take their land, right? He wants the men to be subdued and captured, right? Just a few chapters earlier in 1 Samuel chapter 7, we had seen God give victory to the Israelites. God had taught the Israelites had to have victory. All they had to do was repent and turn to him and put away their gods. And God would fight their battle. But notice what's happening here. Rather than repenting, rather than fighting, the men of Jabesh-Gilead feel that their only way to win is to make this covenant, right, with Nahash. In verse 2, and Nahash the Ammonite answered them and said this, on this condition I will make a covenant with you, that I may pull out all of your right eyes and bring reproach to all Israel. So he counters their offer. He says, you know what? I want your right eye. I want to gouge out your eye. And here were some possible reasons for this. One might be that he wanted to shame the nation. One might be that he wanted to disable their military men. But he also wanted them to have one eye so they could still work and serve him. In so many ways we see Nahash. He's a type of Satan in what he does to us. Nahash's name means serpent or snake. Satan seeks to attack us, and he desires our destruction. 1 Peter 5:8 says that he is like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Satan desires that we serve him, and we surrender to him. Satan's desire, his plan for our life, is to humiliate us. He wants to take away our ability to fight. He wants to deceive us and blind us from the truth. We see all that happening here to the men of Jabesh-Gilead. Instead of turning to God, right, they're looking to make a covenant with the enemy here. In verse 3, then the elders of Jabesh said to him, hold off for 7 days, that we may send messengers to all the territory of Israel, and then if there is no one to save us, we will come to you. So the elders of Jabesh-Gilead, they buy 7 days at a time. They say, hold up, let's see if anyone's available. Maybe we have a risk of fighting. Better to risk losing one eye, right, than losing our lives. So the elders are men who are supposed to lead here. Right? They're supposed to be giving spiritual direction to the nation. But the tragic consequence of sin is this. As they're walking in sin, as they're refusing to seek God here, the consequence is that it steals our courage, it obscures our vision, it diminishes our desire to fight for what is good and for what is noble. They're so deeply ingrained in backsliding, right? They've forgotten how God had fought for the nation. If they had just repented and turned to him, right? The things that God could have done. And notice this, Nahash allows this for two likely reasons. One, he probably believes that there's no one left to fight in Israel. He probably understood that Israel was weak, that they weren't unified. And so spreading news about him would actually further his own cause. It would intimidate the whole country. So Nahash said, all right, let's go for it. In verse 4, so the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and told him the news in the hearing of the people. And the people lifted up their voices and wept. So apparently the people here felt helpless too. Now there was Saul coming behind the herd from the field. And Saul said, what troubles the people that they weep? And they told him the words of the men of Jabesh. Now this will be his first test here. He's anointed king, and notice he's in the field. He doesn't even have a palace. There's no government. There's no system by which things should operate. This is Israel's, first king. There isn't a real system or a way to do this. So he's in the field and he hears about this.